2020, we're all on lockdown. Tell us the story of the birth of Coco Girl magazine.
Yeah, we're all on lockdown, and I have um, a very unconfident daughter who was struggling with her hair and skin tone because at school she was bullied. And she was the only Black girl in her class. And I would be always coming to pick her up from school. And she said, Mommy, someone called me this today. Someone pulled my hair. So before lockdown, I was doing projects where she was learning about herself. I actually pulled her out of school and was homeschooling her as well. So basically, I had to just teach her about who she was. Just one quick thing as well. I went to her school one day and I saw a display. It said year one display. And this had all the children in year one on it. Well, it should have all the children in year one. And I knew that Faith was the only Black girl in her class, but I knew in the year there was about 10 other Black children. And when I looked on this display, there was only blonde haired children. That was all. And I looked in the corner and I saw a really dark painting where the skin tone blended in with the hair, the lips were red. And I found it offensive because to me it looked like a gollywog. And when I looked up, I was just horrified. My daughter runs in and says, Mummy, Mummy, that's me. My teacher painted that of me. So I knew there was
Uh,
something wrong with the school, also the system, the educational system. And so my husband was like, Selena, don't go in just there because it was a parents' evening. I said, no, I'm going to tackle it this with the head teacher. And when I went to the head teacher's office a week later, because she didn't want to see me any time earlier, she knew what I was going to complain about. She said that she didn't find anything wrong with the painting, but the one Black teaching assistant found something wrong. And so now they're taking the display down. So I said to them, do you celebrate Black History Month? Oh, yes, Mrs. Boyd. Didn't you get the letter? We showed an ex-drug dealer a video of him in the assembly who has changed his life around. So I said, there are so many incredible people in history. You could not show them. And I tried so much with this school to get more books, to show more representation, but it was just getting worse and worse for Faith. And so I removed her. So that time where it was lockdown, I was trying to find another school for her, and we could only, educate at home. So when I went to go to the magazine stands, because I thought, right, I'm going to get some exercise books for my daughter, but also I want to get some magazines because I had been in the publishing world, but wasn't allowed really in the UK to progress. So I left and I became a childminder and couldn't work anyway during the lockdown. And when I looked through the magazines, it was like a light bulb had switched on that my daughter couldn't see herself in any of these magazines. No wonder she wanted her hair to be different because unlike the US, in the UK, we are so far behind. There was nothing on the shelves that represented us. So I said to myself, with my knowledge of, the magazine world, and my husband is a photographer, during the lockdown, we're just going to do a project and do a magazine. I made a little website. Um, and I remember putting this magazine cover on. No, actually, I was just about to launch the magazine and George Floyd had died. And I thought, right, this is not the
Murdered.
right
Let's say he was killed. He didn't just
deal.
die. He was murdered.
Yeah. So when that I was about to launch this magazine, I had to think, right, is this a good timing? So people said, right, you know, we need to launch more things now. We need to tell people our stories. And I launched the magazine and my phone was going off. I was selling this magazine a second. Um, I think in one day we sold 1,000 copies. And this is people that hadn't seen the inside of a magazine, but they just saw a magazine cover. And the rest is history. I mean, now we are a part of the schools library across the UK. That's 2.1 million children.
Wow.
Um, I have a school subscription list just blowing up. we were approached to be in the shop. So I'm the first Black-owned publisher in this country to have a magazine in the shops. My daughter's confidence, no one can tell her about anything. She's working on a secret project at the moment. And the person said to her last week, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? She said, I want to be a preacher. She said, I learned about Martin Luther King. I want to be, that's her. She's so confident and bold because she knows who she is. And I didn't wait for the education system to tell her. I've used the magazine to show not only her, but other children who they are.
Mm. Representation matters. We were talking about that with was the Lin-Manuel Miranda piece, and the little boy with the black, with the black little boy. Yes, it's little in his hair, and all of the imagery. Children need to see themselves, and it's interesting. I don't know how our parents and grandparents navigated those waters for us. And maybe they didn't do it so well, because the first person I ever saw on television that looked like me was Diane Carroll and Julia and her little son Corey. But then the 70s, and the 80s gave us, Red Fox and the Jeffersons and Good Times, and then we got the Cosby and the Different Worlds, and there's been a constant barrage of imagery. And this, I think, we're in a golden era of seeing ourselves. But yet that indoctrination is still so prevalent, and it's hard to undo 400 years, in some cases 500, 600 years of damage. It's hard to undo it, but we're doing it. So, and it helps. But I have a question though. We're talking with Serlina Boyd. You sending your child to a school where there were no people who look like her, where there were no educators who look like her. We were talking with as a person that's part of our family from London. He said, Dr. Carr is his first Black educator in his entire life, and he's well into maybe his 50s or 60s. What was there even a thought that she wouldn't be seen, or that wasn't even, you didn't even think about it until you were confronted with it?
Yeah, I didn't think about it because when I went to school in the UK, I was the only Black girl in my class. I went to a school where, my best friend was like the most popular girl in the class. So no one would ever think of saying anything racist to me. So I thought Faith would be fine. I mean, as well, my home, my dad had his little rituals on a Sunday, would play his reggae, and I had all this African art around me all the time. My dad, he has all these beautiful, artwork. And I guess for me, in one sense, I think Faith never experienced that, and that's something now I'm doing. I'm taking her to galleries. My dad did all of that. So in one sense, she had a little bit of a difference in her upbringing in terms of the way what was surrounding her at home. But I didn't really think about her going to this school and there'll be any problem, because it's not a private school, but it is the best school in that area. It just wasn't the best school for Black children and for her. Mm. And also I teach music. So I fought to teach music there, to during lunchtime, do like a choir practice with some of the children. They wouldn't let me in. These teachers would not let me in to do nothing. And that's when the alarm bells were coming up that, she's not welcome here.
So where is she now?
She's homeschooled.
Completely. So she's not, okay.
Yeah, and we were looking at sending her to school in September, but we're really researching the schools. And yeah, I don't, she doesn't want to go. So we're just research, because as my workload is getting heavier, that's something we're looking at. But one thing I have to say, my son is homeschooled. He's 4, and he knows so much. He knows his times tables. He knows just about his culture. And one thing that he does with his sister nearly every day is celebrate her. He'll go, Faith, you're so beautiful. Faith, I love your hair. And it's so different from when I was growing up, because my brother would like, you wash your hair. Obviously, I got short hair now, but when it was longer and it shrank, and it's like, look at your hair. I never was that confident about my hair because I always felt, funny. But Faith is so confident. I wish she could come on the show.
Where is she? Is she right there in the house?
No, she's sleeping. She's sleeping. But
different hours.
This is her. This is her.
Oh, she's beautiful.
And is it available in America?
Yeah, so it's in Barnes and Noble. We're looking at getting some more distributors out in the US because really it's more of a B2B magazine for schools. So it's, teachers are using it as an educational tool. We also are going to be in South Africa in most of the schools between March and April. And then also Singapore are interested in taking some copies as well into some of the schools.
Oh, wow. That's super important.
Reached out to Scholastic? I would say Scholastic because they're the largest publisher of children's books worldwide.
Yeah, so we do work with publishers because our whole ethos is to teach children to read. The majority of the children, the majority of the writers of the magazine are all children. They're all young journalists. I mean, and they research the topics they want to do. We have, a Zoom call about what we're going to write this month. I mean, this month we're focusing on a group of Black boys that attend the highest institution in this country, and that's Eton College. I went there last week and I was blown away when I walked in the room and I saw about 15 Black boys stood up out of respect, dressed in their fine uniform. And this institution or education institution, you could not attend this many years ago if you were Black. And, they are all A-star, A-grade students going on to Cambridge, and they're, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So we're writing about them in this next issue of the boy version, Cocoa Boy.
Cocoa Boy, Cocoa Girl, side by side. Talk a little bit about the process. So 2020, you're sitting home, you're like, I got to do something to impact my daughter. And then because a lot of people have ideas and we all have thoughts and dreams. How did you execute this? Serlina Boyd is here. How did you execute?
I firstly, wanted to check with a friend who is a publisher. So I said to him, look, I have this idea. And he said, look, it's never, ever going to take off because basically, and this is where I say the UK is different to the US. Whatever you're trying to do and you're trying to target a Black audience, it won't sell. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And I, mocked up a rough idea of what I wanted the front cover to look like. My husband's a photographer, set up a studio in my living room because it's locked down. And it just went from there. And I think when people actually saw the content, because the content is a little girl made her own hair butter because all the shops in the UK were closed during lockdown. So she said, I want to write a recipe, and she did that, and that was in the magazine. Really lots of things on mental health, recipes. We had a whole page dedicated to Black Barbie dolls. Okay, and this is another thing that I did because I wanted to reach the brand Barbie to advertise with us eventually. So I asked them if they could send me all the images of their Barbie dolls that were Black or, had some representation, and they did. And during the lockdown, the sales of their fashionista dolls went up. So I tagged them in my advert and I said, Barbie, I see your fashionista dolls have gone up. Can we get you as an advertiser? And they are one of our advertisers. And
look at that.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, because I know just personally publishing is a tough business. Shipping costs, they wax and wane, advertising waxes and wanes. I was just talking to my team today, and I was like, to the point that Black Enterprise, Essence, and a lot of these magazines are now event marketing companies. They're no longer really magazines. The magazine is the marketing tool to the event, whether it's a golf tournament or a festival like Essence. That's where they make their money now. So what's the business for Cocoa Girl and Cocoa Boy in terms of like how, 2022, 2 years in, how are you doing?
We're doing really good. we just signed some deals with, so one of them is LOL. We're talking to Lego. I want to target the big brands because I feel that they can invest in the advertising. And the brands are actually coming to us. But you just pointed out something so important. It's about the events. So I've set up a charity arm to my business as well called the Cocoa Dream Society, where we put on festivals and events, and a portion of what we basically get from the sales of tickets or things like that will go to sending Black boys and girls to private institutions where they get a really good education. So one of the things that we're looking at to do more is more events. The last event that we did, we put out 1,000 tickets, and this one was free, but we got a lot of sponsors to pay for advertising. And there were 4,500 people that turned up that day. When I say in the UK there is a need, I don't know if you've heard of a day. Well, I know you have, actually, Black Pound Day, where it's a day every single month. I think the first Saturday of every month, people spend, Black, and they buy Black products. And I feel that right now there's such an exciting shift happening in the UK. We were able to have a market at our event, which was just Black owned products. And people are like, wow, I didn't know that you could get this. Or, when you looked across the hall and you just saw, like, there were 2 Black boys. Their business is called Duke of London, and they sold out of their sunglasses. It's these entrepreneurs, and there's so many of these Black owned businesses over here that are just now coming up, and we're all really trying to work together, because in the UK it is hard. It really is hard.
866-801-8255. Serlina Boyd. She now is the author of Coco Girl, Awesome Hair. So what was you go from the magazines to now children's book. What's that process? And did you produce that yourself, or did you partner with someone?
Yeah, so I did get, after we got quite a lot of interest in the magazine, we had lots of publishers come in to say, can we give you a book deal? And some of the things that they presented weren't right. So I said, I would love a book deal, but I want you to do a book that I want to do and not a book that you want to do. So I felt it was really important to do a hair book, because I had never seen one before, which was a step-by-step guide to styling textured hair. It was, I think, the first thing that Faith fell in love with when she came through that. She's still going through it, but this confidence period now, where she was just like, I love my hair, Mom. I can do so much with it. So I wanted to do this book, and I was able to help with the design process, with writing it as well. But also, what shocked me about the book was not only the parents that had different hair to their children commenting, but the grandparents that said, I could never find something that I could read or do that connected me really with my grandchild, who is from a different culture. And I love the fact that this book allows us to have these conversations, because it also covers a little bit about our hair history as well. So yeah.
So it's not let me correct. It's not a children's book. It's not a children's pictures book. It's a book for children, and it goes step by step in how to style hair, and all of these different hairstyles. And listen, as a child, with the barrettes growing up, and there's the two ponytails with the one in the back. We all had,
or 2 in the back and the 1 in the front.
Oh God, and the one on the side, and then like there's just our parents probably ran out of ways to do hair. There's a lot of little short cartoons and short, little children's books about hair. But this is the first one that gives you instructions. Do you show the braids in it? Because we can't look inside. There's no look inside in this.
Yeah, we do. We basically show people how to cornrow. So for the first time, because during the lockdown as well, there were white mothers that were that couldn't send their children to the hairdressers like they normally would, because they just thought, I'm too frightened to touch the hair. I just can't bond with this hair. I don't know how. And they were learning how to cornrow for the first time.
Wow.
And they post us in these images and say, look what we've done. Thank you. The reviews have been really good. But that was just my dream and desire, to have a book. And then I could go into schools and have these talks about, your hair is awesome. You can do so much with it. I mean, Faith, as I say, keep referring to my daughter. There's days where she styled her hair about 7 times. And that's something we need to kind of cut down on, because I tell her she don't have any hair left.
Look, I change my hair every 8 weeks, so I'm with Faith. Sometimes you just need a new look. You want to be somebody new.
Where did you get the hairstylist? Who participated in giving you the style? Because are you adept at this, Serlina Boyd? You keep yours short cropped and it's beautiful. Yeah. Are you the expert? Like, where did you get the expert stylist?
Yeah, so one of the stylists in there is a lady called Lorraine Dublin. She is Serena Williams's hairstylist. We have a lady called November Love that's from the States. She's brilliant at hair. So I just was on Instagram and I would just go to people's account. Would you be able to be in my book? And would you be able to contribute a hairstyle? And yeah, it really was a combination of what Faith wanted to put in the book and some of the beautiful hairstyles I was seeing online, which were easy enough to do.
This is amazing. Tonya, you have I wish I had a book like this growing up, because I think my mother got tired at some point.
Yeah, my daughter had hair that I did not understand. It was not like my hair. She got that combination hair, some curly, some smooth, some straight. She was never happy with what I did with it.
Yeah, I guess as well back then, in terms of books, for me, I don't ever remember seeing any hairstyles in books for me. That's all I just remember picking up books, probably in my school libraries, and there was nothing that I could relate to. So I think for, even my mum, she just stuck to the basic. I had 4 big cane rolls, and that's how I had to wear my hair, even to secondary school. Which is like, see, I had to wear my hair like that. And I remember begging my mum to relax my hair. Please, I'm so big now. I'm like 14, please. And, that's when I relaxed my hair. I was like, I've made it. But, this generation, they won't really be looking at that now.
No.
Especially in the UK with this movement.
Oh, I love the movement. And as you're talking, I feel like we could fill up 4 volumes, maybe 10 volumes of books of girls' hair trauma, the trauma. Somebody posted during Black History Month, 2 hot combs and what's the hair grease, the aqua
Blue Magic we had.
Blue Magic, but there was like Dax and a few others. And it was like, what day of the week is this? What day of the week is this? And I was like, I immediately got like traumatized. And I could smell it. And then I'm like, I remember holding the ear down.
That's right.
The crispy tops of the ears, the back of the neck, because you always gonna get, at some point, you're gonna get burnt. And it was trauma. And I'm sure we all have stories. But this helps a lot, Serlina. And this is inspiring. It's amazing. And kudos to you. We're talking about Coco Girl. Awesome Hair is the book, but Coco Girl Mag, you can follow her at Coco Girl Mag. And amazing job that you've done. Thank you so much.